I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining me now is lawyer-turned-fashion startup founder Loni Edwards. Her company, Stitch Collective, produces limited-run, high-fashion accessories designed by young talent. Welcome, Loni. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So first, can you please explain what is Stitch Collective? I know it launched in August of last year, but what services do you offer?
So we have luxury accessories. This is one of our items. It's the portfolio. And we showcase sketches from a variety of emerging designers from all over. And our community comes on the site and votes for their favorite sketches. And then at the end of voting, we take the highest voted sketch, put it into production, profile the designer, get them a following, get them known. It's kind of like a launching pad for new designers.
Well, and it almost sounds a little bit like American Apparel in the way that it operates, manufactures, and distributes, right? But just on a smaller scale.
Much smaller scale. But yeah, we handle everything. We produce in New York. We sell on the site, so we're vertically integrated, which allows us to sell for a lower price point while still selling high-end.
Well, so how does it all work? Walk me through this. Let's say that I'm a designer who decides to take on one of your design challenges posted online.
So as a designer, you would submit a sketch. We have voting or submissions open for about a month, so we collect tons of sketches. This season, we've gotten sketches from all over the U.S., even some international submissions, so we're getting out there.
Great buzz.
After this, all the submissions are in, we go through them all, pick the ones that best fit the challenge. So this challenge is the city bag. So we're looking for a bag that you can take from day to night, fits all your essentials. So right now I'm going through all of those sketches, figuring out which ones best fit that model, and then they'll be put on the site for voting. And then it's open to anyone to vote, so the designers share it with their communities, and it just kind of spirals out, and a lot of people vote and comment and give feedback on the sketches. And then at the end of voting, one sketch rises to the top, and then we bring that sketch to life at our factory in New York.
Do you collaborate with the designers every step of the way, even from the design aesthetic to choosing the fabrics and other materials?
Yeah, so they give suggestions on what materials they would like. The sketches they turn in are very detailed. All the dimensions are written out, the fabrics, colors are all provided from the designer. And then we work with them throughout the whole process to try to make the final product as close to their original vision as possible.
And then you mentioned earlier that you manufacture here in New York. How did you find a manufacturer?
So got lucky with that one. One of my good friends from college, his family owns a large manufacturing factory in the garment district that specializes in luxury accessories. So work with her, and she makes all our bags, and they're an incredible factory.
What I want to mention too, isn't there a cash prize for the winning design?
Yes.
And so do the designers also share in the sales proceeds as well?
Yeah, so they get a cash prize from proceeds in addition to a copy of the bag and the visibility. And so it's kind of like a risk-free way for them to get started.
I think it's a great idea for budding designers. And so how did you come up with it?
So I wanted to do something more creative. So I used to be a lawyer. I was doing intellectual property law in LA. I wanted to do something more creative, and I've always loved fashion. Ran into this friend from college who owns this factory, kind of was thinking about ways to go about creating something in the fashion space. Realized it's very difficult for new designers to get started. Everything from sourcing materials, finding the factory, meeting the minimums, the risks and costs tied in. And so wanted to kind of make it easier for them to get started, while at the same way allowing customers to have a say in what gets made. And so,
well, yeah, and I understand the process, but you just thought, okay, well, I'm not seeing enough innovation out there. I'm not seeing enough new designers who are showcasing their product. Is that where you kind of originated the idea?
Kind of a mix. I was seeing the same designers over and over again at the online shops that I go to, at the brick and mortar large stores. I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff, and wanted to make it easier to get new stuff out there.
Okay, and you mentioned that you're a lawyer. Obviously, you went to Harvard Law School, in
Yes.
fact, and you had a brief stint as an IP lawyer at Quinn, Emanuel. So was it easier to leave practice because you hadn't done it for very long?
Yes and no. On the one hand, I didn't feel like I was as stuck there because I was still kind of new. I left after about 6 months. On the other hand, I had spent so much time prepping to get there, from like pre-law classes in college and applying to law school, the LSATs, and then applying to firms, taking the bar exam, and doing that whole process, and finally arriving at my top choice dream firm, and then saying, actually, I'm starting over. It was definitely hard, But
what was the catalyst for that decision? Just you wanted to do something else? I mean, some people say that it's very hard to leave. So tell us about the day that you decided to leave.
Kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid. I didn't feel fulfilled in the day-to-day at the firm and wanted to do something a little more creative that I felt I had a little more ownership over. So I was looking into startups and trying to figure out where I fit in that world. And was talking to a friend in New York about doing a travel startup before Stitch Collective, and decided that if I didn't just take the leap, I wouldn't do it. So I came back from visiting her in New York, went into the firm that day, went into HR, put in my notice, and called movers. And then in 2 weeks, I lived in New York, was working in the startup space, and yeah, it was kind of a fast decision.
Was there a part of you, though, that always kind of knew that you would use your legal background and training for something very non-traditional?
I thought I was going to stick with the traditional, and then it wasn't until I was at the firm the day-to-day after a bit that I decided I couldn't do that for the long term. And so still able to use the legal training to a degree. So I did all of our formation, the company. I'm constantly writing, reviewing, negotiating contracts with various freelance people we work with.
Do you act as the counsel for Stitch Collective?
Technically, yeah. So.
Okay. Well, and what about the cost of your education, too? I mean, do you have to worry about repaying student loans?
I do have student loans, so that is an issue. I paid some of them off, so I'm okay for a little while, and then then they come back. So that was definitely part of the decision. But pushing forward as fast as I can with Stitch, and hoping that it takes off soon.
I mean, you wear many hats. You mentioned that you're the counsel for Stitch, but you also are the marketing, you're the operations, you also do some basic engineering. So what's been the most difficult task for you to tackle so far?
So yeah, lots of different tasks. I think the most difficult task has been trying to organize everything and figure out when I'm doing what role, and kind of keep in order to that. So some days I try to just focus on marketing. So I'll spend all that day researching and figuring out what to post on social media or what to send out in our newsletter. And then other days I'm okay, I gotta handle all the accounting today. So I'll spend the day on QuickBooks and update everything. And then another day I'll be at in the garment district sourcing leathers and hardware and figuring that all out and visiting the factory and checking on production. And another day I'm our photographer and I'm off taking pictures of the bags and models with the bags and photoshopping them. And so trying to keep them in little piles, I think, has been the hardest.
Yeah, it sounds like you need an organizer.
Yeah.
Someone to organize your schedule for you. Maybe an assistant at some point.
At some point would be lovely.
So what's your dream? What's your hope or exit strategy even for Stitch Collective? What do you hope will happen in the future with your company?
I hope that the designers we work with end up going on to make their own lines and become more well-known designers. So I'm hoping that we help launch some good careers.
Yeah. And finally, can you tell us where can people go to submit, vote, and buy designs?
All on our site, which is stitchcollective.com, STITCH Collective. Voting for this next round starts on Monday, so there'll be a ton of beautiful sketches up there for voting.
Thanks so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck, Loni.
Thank you.
For more information on this or other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.